Hello everyone, it is Select back with another prediction video. It has been 2 weeks since my last prediction. It is now Saturday, the 7th of May. We will get a bunch of polls out tomorrow. I don't expect they'll be changing too much. Maybe we'll see a news poll on 52-48, which would be kind of like predicted at this time stage in the campaign. But or maybe we might just see the same thing again, 53-47. So let's go to the Parliament, and I can run through how my predictions have changed since last time, and they haven't changed much. So in New South Wales, I'm going to get rid of that independent. What's interesting here actually about this seat of Hughes actually is on the betting sites, the independent is now the favourite to win that seat, only vaguely. So I don't think an independent's going to win that seat, but the betting markets, for some reason, are suggesting that they might, for whatever reason. So there's that. But what I can say about New South Wales is that most people are saying that Labor are in a very good position to win the seat of Reid, and they're saying now that Labor are only in a really bad position or weak position in the seat of Gilmore. So I have talked a lot about how the seat of Hunter has been sort of seemingly in doubt, but I have heard a lot of reports that the Labor Party are not worried about the seat of Hunter. So take of that what you will. Labor are also confident in the seat of Bennelong that they could pick that up. I don't know, it has a margin of something like 6%, but they have some confidence in that. And they also think that they have a chance in the seats of Lindsay, Robertson, and especially Robertson and Banks. Um, I think probably the best way to do with this is that Labor will most likely win 2 seats, then they'll lose one to the coalition, and then the independents will pick up the one they already have, and I think they'll pick up one more seat. So I think, yeah, Labor will win probably 2 seats, and they'll probably lose either Gilmore or Hunter to the coalition. Now, there's a lot of marginal seats in New South Wales, and if they only lose one, I think honestly that's a pretty good job for them. Now onto Queensland. So recently I've been talking about how I don't think Queensland's going to change. I don't think the coalition is going to pick up any seats in Queensland. We had like a bit of an issue with the candidate for Lilly. Apparently he's enrolled in the incorrect address, which is a bit of a faux pas. I don't think the coalition are going to pick up the seat of Lilly. I don't think they're going to pick up any seats in Queensland. Labor, on the other hand, are not looking too bad. So they have a chance in the 4 seats of Longman, Brisbane, Leichhardt, and newly the seat of Ryan. And the Greens also have a chance in the seats of Ryan, Griffith, and Brisbane. I don't think the Greens are going to win any seats. I think it's just really too much of a struggle for them. But I think Labor will win one of those 4 seats. If we go on to Australian Election Forecast, which this is the website I actually couldn't access because it was something to do with my ISP actually, but now I'm using my mobile data tethered onto my desktop so I can actually use it. If you go down, pretty much all of the Queensland seats, this Leichhardt is for some reason is the highest predicted one at about 33%, and then there's Dixon, and then there's Longman all the way down here on 28.2%. There's Griffith actually, which they think is 20% likely for the Greens to win that seat. And then if we go to the seat of Ryan, this is only giving Labor about a 6.8% chance of winning, and the Greens only a 2%. So, I mean, according to this, the Labor have no chance in the seat of Ryan. But there has been one I've been hearing lately as a possible Labor gain. But yeah, on the website, here we go. This is Armarium Interita. Labor and the Greens collectively have almost wedged the coalition in the seat of Brisbane, and in the seat of Longman, Labor are actually slightly ahead. It might not be taking into account overstatement for the Labor Party that polls in Queensland tend to have, which is, I think, why a forecast website is not giving Labor a strong chance in some of those Queensland seats. So yeah, I believe 1 seat for Labor in Queensland, I think, is doing them justice. Victoria. So I don't believe the coalition are going to pick up a seat in Victoria. There are some talks that they could pick up Corangamite and maybe even McEwen or Dunkley. I don't think it's going to happen. I still think Labor is going to pick up Chisholm. A forecast thinks that Labor is going to pick up Chisholm. But if we go back to this website, the coalition is slightly in the lead on the seat of Chisholm. So it's all because there isn't meant to be a very large swing in Victoria, I believe, is the main reason probably for why it's like this. But I believe it's going to happen, and I also believe that another independent, is going to win a seat in Victoria. So, well, I'll talk a little bit about these independents. They have, I thought they would sort of like fizzle out as the campaign went on, but uh, Monique Ryan did a really good performance against Josh Frydenberg the other day in a Sky News debate. I think she really held her own. I was very, very surprised with her performance. You can tell that the coalition are getting quite scared of these small L independents, these teal independents. They've become a big threat to the coalition, absolutely. So polls are indicating they will pick up a couple of seats. They're ahead in the seat of Wentworth. They're ahead in the seat of McKellar in a poll that came out today. They're ahead in polls in Goldstein, in Kooyong, and they're also threatening in Curtin. I think giving one for New South Wales and one for Victoria each is pretty fair, in my opinion, at least at this stage in the campaign. Right, so let's go on to the state of South Australia. So I believe that Labor Party will pick up the seat of Boothby. Polls are pointing to that. There will be a swing in South Australia. I don't think the Labor Party are going to get sturt, but that's one that definitely we should be looking out for on election night. Onto Western Australia, I believe that Labor will pick up Swan and Pearce and only just miss out on Hasluck. And as for Tasmania, at the moment, like the candidate for Lions ran into a bit of trouble today, saying some misogynistic thing about incontinence or something like that. So, that seat is I don't know, because I did only hear the other day that the reason that the margin was so big last time was because the candidate was disendorsed. That was for their last time for the Liberal Party. So yeah, I don't know about Tasmania. I think it's a good chance that there could be some horse trading going on. Maybe the coalition will keep Bass, Labor will win Brad, and coalition will win Lions, something like that. So I think I'm just going to completely leave the state of Tasmania out. Um, and as for Lingiari, Warren Snowden retiring, I don't know. It's one that the coalition are looking for, but at the moment, I don't think that they're going to win it. This prediction is actually, I think it's very similar, or if not almost identical to my prediction last time I did a prediction. As I said in the last prediction, I was taking into account the polls further narrowing. They haven't exactly further narrowed since when I did that last prediction. They've actually stayed pretty stagnant. In fact, I think the Labor Party have sort of gained a little bit on some of the polls. But I was sort of taking into account that, it could sort of flatten out a bit. But the coalition have had a pretty strong second half of the week, and I think it's probably the most important time in the campaign, which is right before pre-polls open, because pre-polls, they go for 2 weeks, and they're going to be pretty damn important for this election campaign, because they say that something like 50% of people are going to vote on pre-polls before election day. So it was a very important time for this part of the campaign, and I think the coalition nailed it with the whole Anthony Albanese NDIS attack line. And that's what's keeping Labor in this position where forming majority government is not looking like certain for them by any chance. So I think the Labor Party will barely miss out on 75 seats. Their options basically are the seats of Hasluck, a second seat in Queensland, an extra seat in New South Wales, or not losing the seat of Gilmore. I don't think they have much options in Victoria. Some people talk about Higgins, but I don't really think so. Or Casey, maybe, but I don't know about that. And then not losing Lions, Tasmania, and picking up at least one seat. So those are their options to get majority government. But I think at this moment, the polls will narrow further and Labor will barely miss out. So let's just quickly take a look at some of these websites and see what they're predicting. This website I talked about earlier, Armanium Interata, predicts a median of 74 seats. On the low side 74, which is a bit worse than my prediction, and actually a median of 63 seats for the coalition, because there just are so many independent challenges basically. And you can take a look here. It's got some nice diagrams. Labor wins an out majority as a 68 in 100% chance. A hung parliament 16 in 100% chance. Interestingly, they have the coalition ahead in Reid. They have Labor ahead by a fair bit in Lindsay. But apart from that, I think it's pretty close to what we're expecting is going to happen. A lot of these sites are very confident about giving Labor Bass, but I just don't know about it. But yeah, I think that this site maybe overestimates Labor a bit because of their sort of reliance on looking at the polls. AEF is predicting a Labor victory with 78 seats. and you can kind of see how its predictions have changed over time. So this was sort of Labour at their heights in early March, and then they went down a bit when the whole Albanese shenanigans happened, and they've stayed flat for a while. And I predict that the opinion polls tomorrow they'll go down a little bit. And this website believes that they have a 61.8% chance of getting majority government, but a 70% chance of having a clear path to government, which basically means that they have probably they have significantly more seats than the coalition. If we go just back to my chart again, like the coalition forming government is just like, I know that these teal independents are like, they kind of would prefer to form coalition with the government because um, the seats that they're running for would otherwise be coalition seats, and that is the case also for Helen Haynes in the seat of Indi and Rebecca Sharkey in the seat of Mayo. So they would all prefer to form a coalition with the government, but it would just be, I mean, in this circumstance, 73, 74, 75. Well, it wouldn't even be possible in this circumstance. Yeah, it wouldn't be possible in this circumstance because the Greens and Andrew Wilkie are not going to side with the coalition. So um, if it was a situation like this, the Labor Party would have to form government or they'd have to go to another election. And I know they really don't want to, especially they don't want to form government with the Greens. Probably they would just get Andrew Wilkie in this situation. It's not that bad. But you would expect that these independents will be giving confidence and supply to the Labor Party if they were, this close to winning government. I do believe that Labor Party will win this election. There's a big question about whether or not they're going to get a majority, and I think it's just becoming harder and harder for parties to get a majority. So we've got this website that has a look at betting odds. There's not really that much interesting here. Like, here's the list of the seats changing hands by the betting odds. There's actually 2 pages because there's just Hughes on this side. But they're giving Goldstein and Wentworth to an independent, which is kind of what I've done too. Given both of the Tasmanian seats to Labor, and then most of the other sort of like predictable seats, and including Longman, they've given to Labor. So sort of on a similar line to what I've done. Like, the betting sites were terrible last time, but I think the betting sites this time reflect pretty well how the mood is with everyone feeling about all of these seats. Of course, there's seats like Bennelong, which in recent days people are saying like, oh, Labor have a really good chance, and at the moment, like, the betting sites are giving it's pretty heavily a coalition favorite on 66.3 to 33.7. So I don't know if that's worth making some money from. I don't know. We now have um, some bingo for the upcoming leadership debate. And this is actually unfortunate because when I first saw this, Clive Palmer was sitting on a nice $6.50, but by the time I went to bet on him, he decreased to $3. So disappointing. I wanted to put $5 on that and have it as my thing to watch. Is there anything new? No, there's nothing new. You bet you are, you bet I am. I don't even know what that is. Met Gala, I don't know what that is either. I mean, I know what April Sun and Cuba is, but I don't know why anyone would say that in the debate. So yeah, that's just an interesting thing. I don't think I'm going to put any money on it because of my sulk about the Clive Palmer one. But yeah, I mean, interest rates, you would expect that would go like that's a pretty safe bet in my opinion. But are you going to put like $10,000 on it to make $100? Like, I don't know about that. Right. So let's talk about the Senate. So I still believe Queensland is going to be a very tight contest, but the Labor Party will be able to pull off um, a half and half there. I think the two-party vote in Queensland will probably be something around 54 to 46 to the coalition, so basically returning to where it was last time, and that should be enough for Labor to vaguely sneak into that last seat. I think it's going to be tough, but I think that it's definitely possible. I think everywhere else at this stage, the coalition are going to win 3 seats. That's just the nature of the Senate. It's kind of a shitty system because even if a party has a majority, it doesn't really get the majority of seats, just gets half of them because you need to like have over 56, 44. That's just the nature of it. Victoria is still a maybe, but I don't think the swing is going to be very high, and the coalition should still be able to hang on. But yeah, I guess that seat there is in doubt. As for Tasmania, I'm going to give that seat to Lambie. I think that her um, uh, second candidate is going to probably pick it up. She's done enough to sort that out. Sorry, I will go back to South Australia because I do think Nick Xenophon is going to pick up that last seat. South Australia, I believe, is the weakest seat for the coalition at the moment, and polls are indicating that Xenophon will pick up about 10%. So I think he's probably going to get that last seat. Of course, Northern Territory and ACT are pretty settled. There was a poll in the ACT which gave about 20% to an independent called David Pocock, but it's usually a nothing burger in ACT. I don't think anything's going to change personally, so I'm just going to leave it how it is. So I don't think things are much different to last time. This Senate is adequate for the Labor Party. They managed to get a majority with the Greens and Lambie. Lambie is usually on their side, or they can even go with One Nation. Maybe there'll be some things that One Nation will agree on the Labor and the Greens on, not much, but maybe some things. And as for the coalition, this is not terrible for them. It just means that they need the whole of the crossbench, not including the Greens, to get anything done. A Senate that would ultimately work okay for each major party. I'd say it'd be a bit better for Labor, but this is what you're looking at when you get a 51 to 49% result two times in a row, one on the one side and one on the other side. It's a pretty sort of like average, mediocre sort of thing. Okay, I think that's all I really need to discuss today. Thank you for watching, everybody. I am predicting a Labor win 2 weeks out from election. Tomorrow's opinion polls. Gonna see probably some a little bit of narrowing. But I mean, we're heading into pre-polls now. Labor in a good position. I can't see them losing this. At least I can't see the coalition getting majority government at this point. Thanks for watching, everyone.